welcome to the Bold and Brave Collective. I'm Faye Lynne, your host, and I am so excited to say hello to my very bold friend, Kathy Mizen. Hi, Kathy.
Hello.
Wonderful to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. My pleasure. And I'm very excited because I know that your story is going to inspire so many women. But before we get into it, I'm going to tell everyone a little bit about you. So for over 17 years, Kathy served as a children's pastor in Canada. She poured into families and children with a great passion for those 17 years. Now, for the last 10 years, well, a decade, she's been the director of the Schools of Hope in Honduras, changing lives through education, nutrition, and clean water. Her fearless faith and visionary leadership will really light a fire inside of you to take the next bold step in your life. And one thing, Kathy, that I love about bold women and the things that they do is that there's usually a pivot point in their life, somewhere in their life that they thought, okay, this is it. This is a change. I have to make this change. For you, what was that one spark or one change in your life that made you just say, hey, I have to take this bold step?
I think the one big word would be discontentment. I was in a place where I knew my seasons were changing. I'd been a children's pastor. I loved what I did. Like, I felt like it was my dream job, but I got to a point where I felt like that season was ending, but I didn't know what was next. And so I felt a discontentment kind of in my spirit that I knew that there was something. And the funny part is I was approaching an older age. And I was approaching an age a little bit older than what I wanted to be in my life. And I thought, I've had some different dreams in my life, but is this the time for me to pursue these? And I actually came across a book called by John Acuff called Punch Fear in the Face. Woo. And one of the things was he had like a daily challenge. I think it was like, anyways, it was a pre-release to the book actually being published, but like there was a daily challenge. And one of the things was to write down, what are you afraid to do? And the biggest thing was like, quit my job and pursue, my dream. So he gave us a couple things, like steps to lead us through over 30 days or something. And one of the things was to write down some of those goals. And I wrote down one of my dreams since I was a little kid is to go to Australia. So was to quit my job and move to Australia, which seemed really silly.
No,
but I was like, okay, well, but it's literally one of my dreams. So I wrote that down. I was actually being pursued for a different job opportunity in another location. And then I also was pursuing an opportunity to go to Honduras to do missions. And I was like, Lord, all of these, except for maybe the Australia one, like the other two were not bad things necessarily, but I had no idea. Like I really didn't have anything in my thoughts. I kind of liked the one opportunity, but it wasn't necessarily what I wanted. And then there was this opportunity to come to Honduras to do missions is something that had been in my heart.
Yeah.
Because I always had a heart for missions. And so that like sparked me, how do I say this? I guess it kind of set me up to take a step of faith. And so I like wrote to a friend who was living in Australia to find out like what it would take to get to Australia. I pursued the job opportunity in Edmonton. And then I also reached out to the people in Honduras and I was like, Lord, this is all for you. I don't know.
So many bold things though, like not just one. Wow.
No,
that's cool.
And all of it required like moving away, leaving my job. I had a house, I had a car, like it was the first house I'd ever bought. So like I was in a place where I really felt content and happy.
Right.
And I didn't hate my job. I just knew that I just felt in my spirit that season was done. And so all of those things like pushed me into pursuing that. And the opportunity came for me to come to Honduras and serve with the ministry I'm now the director of, Schools of Hope. And that like to hit rewind and go back. This past fall was my 10th anniversary. And that really, it brought back a lot of those memories of the process of how I got to where I am today. And it's crazy. There's so much to that story, but I just thank God that he gave me that boldness and the faith to believe, because I don't think that every opportunity that comes to us is bad, but I also know that sometimes we have great opportunities before us and God's not going to say, oh, that's bad. That one's good. Like they both were amazing opportunities, especially the ministry opportunities. And I remember a friend telling me, Kathy, God just wants you like to choose It's not on him,
Yeah,
like
it's
which
not
one's
like a
better.
yes, yes,
You need to
yes.
choose which one you believe that God's leading you to, and because he's going to be in it wherever you go because he's with you. And
That's
that like
excellent. That's great
really,
advice. Yes. And that's
yeah, like
yeah.
that gave me a piece of my spirit.
Yeah, it's that is because a lot of times we think we're picking the wrong one out of three, but there's three good ones. The one of them we're going to pick one and go with it, right? So when you
Yeah.
were doing that during that time, were there any obstacles that you faced along the way? And
Yeah.
probably many, but any that stand out to you? And how did you overcome those obstacles?
So one of the biggest was I was a full-time children's pastor. So I had a full-time job,
Yeah.
house, car, like life, everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I remember approaching my pastor to ask for a 3-month sabbatical, 3 months off, because I felt
Wow.
that it was 3 months. It wasn't just like a short-term trip. I'd been on many of those in the past. And so I really felt that 3 months was what God was telling me. And of course,
Wow.
when I asked and presented my request, it was like, why would we give this to you? Some of the other staff had never taken like time off. They'd maybe done it for studies or something, but not to
Right,
just
right.
pursue
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. And it was like a 3-month process of getting rejected, and then, well, please, I really feel this is what God
Oh,
wants, and like some negotiating on, do I use vacation time, and I struggled with it because I knew in my spirit, this is what God
that's
wanted me to do. And
mm-hmm.
I was telling you the other day, I said, I actually got to the point where I was willing to quit my job because I
Wow.
wanted to follow what God was asking me to do. And the
That's how
funny
much
part
you
is,
knew, eh? Like, oh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the funny part is that I didn't know that God was going to call me to come back to Honduras full time at that point. Like this
At
was
that
fall of
time.
2020, 2013. And I had
Wow.
no idea, but I knew that I was supposed to do this.
Right.
And so, long story short, God provided the funds, God provided the time off that I didn't lose. Like, I didn't have to quit my job, I didn't lose
Mm-hmm.
anything.
That's
The
great.
funds came in quickly. And in the end, I actually think and it's happened multiple times since in my life, the waiting season of waiting on that yes,
Yes.
through that season, God strengthened my faith because I kept praying and praying. I'm like, God, I know this is what you want for me, but like, why do I feel like there's an obstacle? And then
Mm-hmm.
a rejection. And then I'm like, but
Yeah.
no, I know this is what God wants. And I didn't just give up on it and I'll pursue the other job opportunity or decide to move to Australia.
I know, and that's it, eh?
I
And
really stuck to
yeah.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about that time in between is so well used. Like a lot of times we don't know why there's a delay, but that could be with anything. There's a delay in
Mhm.
something, and then all of a sudden it happens, and we're like,
Absolutely.
I wasn't even ready for that 2 months ago or a month ago. I didn't really get it either, right? So
Mhm.
that's cool. That's a great way of looking at it. And so then I guess that pretty much answers the next question I was going to ask you about giving advice to ladies because there's really you're just saying don't give up, just keep going, right? Or is there other a little tidbit of advice that you'd have?
I think a big part for me is I know what God has called me to do. Like I'm very
Yeah.
confident in
Yeah.
in my position. When I was in my early 20s, like there was always that hesitation to do things. And it
Right.
just got to the point where I really feel like through my journey here to Honduras, but also before, there was just a lot of spiritual growth that happened in
Okay.
that I was able to have that faith, to have that confidence,
Mm-hmm.
because even when I came to Honduras, many people were like, "You're going to stay there. You're going to stay there. You're not going to come back to Canada."
They were
And I
saying
said,
that
"Oh
to you?
no, yes!" Like people here in Honduras, but also people in Canada. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Hold on here. The only way I'm quitting my job and moving away is if God
Right.
tells me."
Yes.
And
Yes.
I
Yes.
really felt like that was God did so much in that season to remind me that if I just look to him and ask him to do it, he will. Like he'll show his faithfulness. So when I
That's
did
awesome.
hear God's voice, I was in a church service. There was nobody else. It was Spanish worship. So I really wasn't participating
Oh,
easily because I didn't
yes. A
know all the
different
songs.
language. Yes. Yes.
And I just really, there was a window that overlooked our city here in Tegucigalpa, the
Mm-hmm.
capital of Honduras. And
Oh,
I remember looking out over the city and saying, God, is this where you want me? Like, is this it? Because on previous missions trips, I always was like, am I going to come back here? Like, is this a new potential job opportunity? But God never said yes. Like, if
Wow.
anything, the doors just didn't even open. But
Yeah,
this
just for
time
that
when
short time, right? Like, yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
this time when I asked the question, I within moments, Faith, like I had a peace that just flooded over me, and I felt God's peace.
Oh, that's
I heard
great.
him say, "Yes, this is where I want you." And so
That is fantastic.
that is something, yeah, like I still get goosebumps even when I think about it,
Yeah.
because that was exactly what I needed and what I wanted. And that set the fire for me to come be back here in less than 7 months full time, raise my support. And I was terrified. Like
That's how long it was? That's how long
it
it was,
was,
like, in between?
yeah,
Like 7
it was
months?
six
My God.
months, six,
Wow.
just a couple, like a week or so longer than 6 months. And
Wow.
everyone told me it would take a year to raise your support.
Yeah.
It just, there were so many negative things that said it's not going to happen as quick as you think. And
Yeah, so how did you
truth,
stand strong in those times? Like, what did you think? Like
I had that peace that from
Yeah.
that moment in that service, like everyone was like, how do you do this? And I'm like, I just know I have a peace and a confidence. And so I don't like asking for money. That is one of the
Yeah.
hardest parts of
Yeah.
being a full-time missionary is you're constantly asking for support for yourself, for various projects. And
Right.
I was like, I don't want to do this, Lord. Like
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable with this.
Mhm.
I had been in ministry, so I was able to do public speaking. Like that's obviously a
Right.
big part
Right.
for a lot of people. There's that fear of,
Yes.
public speaking and
That is
getting
a
up
big
in
thing.
front.
Yeah.
But for me, that actually wasn't as bad. It was that I have to ask for help. I have to ask
Yeah.
for money. And
Wow, yeah.
I prayed over every letter, every time I was getting ready to send out requests. And I have been here 10 years and have not had to do that ever since.
Oh,
Like I did it the first
wow.
time. I've
Yeah.
had to put out special requests for special like projects, or I'm short a little bit this month, but like I've never had to do full on like, hey, I'm looking for
Start,
support.
yeah.
And I feel like a big part of stepping in faith is that we have to keep doing it. It's not just a one
Mm.
time you step
Mhm.
out in faith and, well, if it falls apart, well, then it wasn't
Yeah.
God. I
Yeah.
think God
That's
is
good.
he's with us always. So I think
Right.
he wants the best for us in everything that we do. But
Yes.
sometimes, probably most times, we're the ones who are afraid to take that step of faith. We do like the baby step because we're like, okay, I'll do the baby step. But then
Right.
it's the next step after that and the next
Mhm.
step after that. Because I'll be honest, there have been times that I've doubted, like,
You
why am
must
I
have,
here?
yeah. I mean, it'd
I've
be
had really
impossible
tough
not to.
seasons.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, like it
Yeah,
is.
it'd be impossible not to.
But
Yeah.
in those times, I just keep being reminded of why God's called me to do what I do. And yeah, I doubt, but then I try to refocus into, but this is what I know. This is, and the
Yeah.
list of things that like who I am, who God's called me to be. And it just reminds me, even though I may still be confused or frustrated or discouraged on one
Mhm.
side,
Mhm.
once I start remembering who God is and what he's done, then it like encourages me to keep moving forward.
Right, that's right, right. So even if that fear does creep in or gets in there or whatever, you counteract it with the truth,
Hmm.
basically, right? But
Yes,
but
absolutely.
does it get any easier? Like, do you find like through the years, oh, it's just gotten easier, or is it just always tough when things come up?
I
Just
would say
wondering.
it's easy. No, truthfully, I would say it's easier because I can look back at the really tough times and the tough
Uh,
seasons and be like, okay, God brought me through that. He's been faithful. This is his
mhm.
track record. This is who he is. The situation is different. It's
Right,
tougher.
right, right.
But I honestly think God like toughens us. He strengthens us and he makes us stronger so that
Yes.
when the next time it comes, it's not like when a wave knocks you over the first time. The next
Okay.
time it tries to knock you over, and sometimes we fall and we have to
Yeah,
get back
yeah,
up again. And
yeah.
that has happened. But then there's
Mhm.
other times I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is not going to take me down this time, because I'm like,
That's good.
no, my faith
That's
has
good.
grown and I
Yes.
have gotten stronger. I You know me pretty well. So I would say
Yeah.
even in the last 10 years since moving here, that even my prayers of faith are bolder and I'm more
Nice.
confident. Like
Nice.
you've seen some of my journey and know
Oh,
like,
yes.
wow, how did that happen? I don't
Yeah.
know. God just provided. Like
And it does. Every time it's just but then I think to myself, Well, that's Kathy. She's believing for that. That's the way you dream. You're such a big dreamer. And I think every time we see, it encourages us too, because then when I see your dreams coming true and your vision, things you've envisioned come true, then I think, wow, then why am I keeping my level here? Why not go a little higher? And I think that's the part of being a bold and brave woman, is that we can just share that with so many other women. And, and that makes a big difference too. Mentoring the people around us. You must have like tons of opportunities to mentor women there, right?
I do. I feel that God's called me to mentor my staff a lot. When I first came here, there was only a small handful. There was 5 Canadians and 2 Hondurans on staff. And now I'm the only Canadian and I have 20 plus staff. And so I see that as one of the gifts God has blessed me with, is mentoring and equipping others. Beautiful. And so I'm able to invest that in them. And even in the last few years, I've been really pushing them to then mentor and help others. And it's hard because in some cultures, like, you don't want to lose your job. And so for some of them, it's hard for them to pass the torch in a sense. But I'm like, no, you're not. I'm not firing you. You're not losing your job. You're actually expanding our ministry. And so, that's actually one of my heart and passion, is to equip others, because
that's great.
Like, that's sort of, if I can continue to pass that on to others, then they can expand and pass that on to other people too.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying, because some people do think that I don't want to work myself out of a job. Like if I train these people around me, then they get better than I do. And then where does that leave me? Meanwhile, that's like so the opposite of leadership, because you're pulling them up beside you. You want them up there with you. Right? That's fantastic. Wow. That's an incredible story. Okay. So I think pretty much we've gone through everything as far as how you stay strong and how you can encourage other people to stay strong. So I have a question for you that's a little bit to bring a little laugh to our conversation.
Okay.
So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. So if you could have a theme song play every time you walked into the room, what would it be? It's easy. Okay.
Yes.
What would it be?
It's really funny because it's the title of the song is mostly the theme song. Some of the other verses are not so great.
Okay.
It's Don't Stop Believing.
Oh.
Don't stop believing.
Wow. That's a perfect song.
Because I remember praying several years ago about a personal situation, and that was the word I felt God gave me. And I laughed because I was like, it's not like a top song on my playlist, like, in all honesty.
Yeah, right.
But every time I hear the song, it also, there's lots of good Christian songs too that, like, Goodness of God is one of my biggest ones right now, like, and reminding me of God's faithfulness. But that one, because I'm a dreamer, because it does get discouraging sometimes when you don't see those dreams fulfilled. Yeah. That it just kind of, it is funny because it's don't stop believing.
That's great. That's true. And that's great advice. That's great advice for the women out there. Don't stop believing. Wow, you handled that very well. You had just already thought about that.
I was ready.
All right. Well, thank you, Kathy. This has been a great conversation. I'm sure that women are going to be encouraged by it. And make sure that for the audience, for the viewers, I just want them to make sure they connect with you. So we're going to have all your information set up. And if someone needs an encouraging word, I know someone to agree with them for something bold they're trying to do, that you'd be a great person to reach out to. So we'll make sure we have all that information for them. And I just encourage people, watch all the Bold and Brave Collective shows, because we're going to have a lot of bold and brave women on here with bold voices and bold hearts. So thanks again, Kathy. God bless you.
My honor and privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for joining the Bold and Brave Collective. Kathy Mizen's journey from children's pastor in Canada to leading schools of hope in Honduras shows what's possible with faith and courage. To hear more about Kathy's mission, check the links below. Inspired? Subscribe now for more stories of fearless women, and share this episode to spark bravery in others. Until next time, stay bold and brave.